For any big company out there, the digital world can feel like a total minefield, especially when it comes to legal risk. So today, we're going to talk about how to navigate this super complex world of web accessibility. We're talking about going from that constant state of worry to a place of real, solid confidence. Let's dive in. It sounds like a simple question, right? But the answer? Ooh, it can be way more complex than you think. Think about it this way. Your website is your digital front door. It's how the world comes to you. But what if for millions of people with disabilities, that door is locked shut? Or maybe it's completely invisible to them. And that's the thing. This isn't just some tech issue. It's a huge legal and ethical problem. And that problem, that locked door, is what we call the accessibility gap. You see, as everything moves online, this gap, this divide between what technology promises it can do and what it actually delivers for people with disabilities, well, it's just getting wider and wider. We're literally locking out a huge chunk of the population. Okay, so how do we even know what good looks like here? How do you measure this stuff? Well, the gold standard is something called WCAG. That's the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. The easiest way to think about it, it's the universal rulebook for the web. It's the standard that spells out what accessible actually means, and pretty much every accessibility law on the planet is built on top of it. And let me be clear, ignoring these guidelines, it's just not an option anymore. The legal landscape here is serious. We're talking about major laws like the ADA in the United States, Section 508 for government stuff, and EN 301-549 over in Europe. And if you're not compliant, you're not just shutting out users. You're basically sending out a written invitation for some really costly and honestly brand-damaging lawsuits. So you might be thinking, with the stakes that high, where does a big company even start? How do you tackle a problem this big? Well, the answer is to stop playing defense. You have to move away from just reacting and fixing things manually and start thinking proactively with a structured solution. And that solution is an enterprise compliance platform. Yeah, think of it like a command center for all things accessibility. It's a single, unified platform that brings together the best of all worlds. You get the lightning speed of automated scanning, the really smart insights you can only get from human experts, and the incredible power of AI to help fix things. It's everything you need, all under one roof. Okay, that sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like in practice? How do you really go from that feeling of uncertainty to being totally confident and audit ready? Let's walk through that journey, that specific path to compliance. It's actually a pretty clear 5-step process. First up, you scan your whole site to find the initial issues. Then you audit. This is where human experts dive deep. Next, and this is the big one, you fix the problems. After that, you've got to monitor everything continuously to make sure you stay compliant. And finally, you get certified, a verifiable proof of your work. See? It's a full end-to-end system. But I really want to zoom in on that fix step for a second, because this is where the magic happens. We're not just talking about getting a giant, overwhelming list of errors. No way. The platform uses AI to find the exact problem right in the code. Then, and this is so important, it prioritizes what to fix based on legal risk and how much it affects users. It guides your developers to tackle the big stuff, like missing alt text or bad color contrast, and then it goes back and makes sure the fix actually worked. It's a closed loop. All right, the process sounds solid. It makes sense on paper. But you're probably wondering, does this stuff actually work in the real world? Especially for a huge, complex company? Well, the proof is in the pudding, as they say. It's in the data, and it's in what the actual teams using it have to say. First, just think about the sheer scale we're talking about here. These platforms are absolutely battle-tested. We're talking over 20 million pages scanned. 20 million, across all sorts of complex websites and apps. That is a ton of experience baked right into the system. And all that experience, it leads directly to quality. Check this out, a 4.9 out of 5 rating. And that's not from just anyone. That's from the actual accessibility teams, the people in the trenches using this stuff every single day. That tells you it's not just powerful, it's actually useful. And this quote from a founder really just nails it. He said it helped them understand their legal obligations, reduce their risk, and improve usability. That's the key right there. This isn't about just ticking a box for compliance. It's about really getting a handle on your legal situation, cutting down on risk, and honestly, just making your platform better for all your users. Now, that's a business case that's hard to argue with. So what's the bottom line? What's the real payoff here? What does this massive shift actually mean for a big company's day-to-day operations? Let's break down the real-world value you get from doing it this way. And the change is, well, it's night and day. Just look at this. Before, your legal risk is through the roof, and you don't even know where your biggest problems are. But after, it's minimized, and you have the documentation to prove it. Remediation, actually fixing things, goes from this slow, chaotic mess to a super fast, guided process. And maybe the biggest change of all, your team's confidence. It goes from basically zero to sky high, because now they have reports that can actually stand up in a legal setting. So when you put it all together, what do you get? You get clarity. You get security. You get a totally verifiable record of your accessibility that's ready for any audit. All the guesswork just vanishes, and what's left is a crystal clear, actionable roadmap that your teams can actually use to build better, more inclusive products for every single one of your customers. And that brings us right back to where we started, but with a whole new way of looking at it. Think about this. Roughly 1 in every 4 adults has some kind of disability. 1 in 4. Suddenly, this isn't some small niche issue, is it? It's a fundamental business question. Is your company truly open to a quarter of your potential audience? So I'll ask you again, can you really afford to keep that front door locked?